The silent life he never chose, 1,000 words. Have you ever felt that your life is moving, but you are not? Not because you are lazy, not because you have no dreams, but because something inside you is holding you back. This story begins with a man who looked normal to everyone, but felt invisible to himself. His name was Aaron. Every morning, Aaron woke up before his alarm rang, not because he was energetic, but because his mind never rested. Thoughts filled his head even before his eyes opened. What if today is the same? What if nothing changes? What if this is my life forever? He lay still, staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet room. The silence felt heavy, like it was pressing down on his chest. Aaron was not unhappy all the time, but he was never truly happy either. He lived in the middle. At work, Aaron did his job well. He followed rules. He never caused trouble. People described him as nice and quiet, too quiet. When his boss asked for ideas in meetings, Aaron had many thoughts. Good thoughts? Smart thoughts. But his mouth stayed closed. His heart beat fast. His palms became sweaty, and his voice disappeared. Later, when someone else said the same idea, everyone praised them. Aaron smiled politely. Inside, something broke, just a little. After work, Aaron walked home the same way every day. Same streets, same shops, same sounds. One evening, he stopped near a bookstore. The window showed a simple sentence written in black letters. Your life changes when your choices do. Aaron stared at it for a long time. He didn't go inside. He didn't buy the book. But the sentence followed him home. That night he sat on his bed and whispered to himself, "What choices am I making?" The answer scared him. He was choosing comfort over growth, silence over honesty, safety over possibility. And the worst part, he was choosing it every day. If you are listening to this story and feel something inside you, welcome. You are not weak. You are human. This is why this channel exists. English Motivation is a place where stories help you read better, think deeper, and believe in yourself. If you want stories like this quietly guiding you forward, you can subscribe and walk this journey with us. One weekend, Aaron received a message from his old school friend, Liam. "Hey, I'm speaking at a small event. You should come." The word speaking made Aaron uncomfortable. He almost replied with an excuse. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the bookstore sentence. Maybe it was the tired feeling in his chest. Aaron typed, "Okay, I'll come." He surprised himself. The event was small, just a room with chairs and people chatting. Aaron sat at the back, hoping no one would notice him. Then Liam stood up and began to speak. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes. He paused, corrected himself, laughed. But he spoke. Aaron watched carefully. Liam used to be shy too. Aaron remembered that. So what changed? After the talk, Aaron walked up to Liam. "You were good," Aaron said softly. Liam smiled. "I was terrified." Aaron blinked. "But you didn't look afraid." Liam leaned closer and said something that stayed with Aaron forever. "I didn't wait for confidence. I spoke first. Confidence came later." That night, Aaron couldn't sleep. The words repeated in his mind. Confidence came later. For the first time, Aaron questioned a belief he had carried for years. I must feel confident before I try. What if that belief was wrong? What if confidence was not the start, but the result? The next morning, Aaron made a very small decision, so small that no one noticed, but it mattered. In a meeting, when his boss asked a question, Aaron raised his hand halfway. His heart pounded. His voice shook, but he spoke. It was not perfect, but it was real. The room didn't collapse. People didn't laugh. Someone nodded. That was all. But inside Aaron, something powerful happened. He realized this. Fear did not disappear, but it did not control him either. That evening, Aaron stood again in front of the bookstore window. The same sentence stared back at him. Your life changes when your choices do. This time he smiled, because for the first time he had chosen differently. In the next part, something unexpected happens, a failure that almost pushes Aaron back into silence. But what he does next changes the direction of his life. Stay with the story. When trying once was not enough, 1,000 words, Aaron did not feel confident the next day. In fact, he felt worse. The moment after he spoke in the meeting, a strange mix of emotions followed him home. Part of him felt proud. Another part felt scared. What if they think I am stupid? What if I made a mistake? What if I should never speak again? Fear has a habit of returning after courage. That night, Aaron replayed the moment again and again in his mind. Every small pause in his speech felt bigger. Every word felt wrong. He almost convinced himself that the silence he had lived with for years was safer. Almost. The next week, something unexpected happened. Aaron's boss sent him a message. Can you share your idea again tomorrow, but in detail? Aaron stared at the screen. This was what he wanted, and what he feared. His hands trembled. He had two choices. Say yes and feel uncomfortable, or make an excuse and return to safety. For a long minute he did nothing. Then he remembered Liam's words. I spoke first. Confidence came later. Aaron typed, yes, I will prepare. His heart beat fast, but this time there was no turning back. That evening, Aaron sat alone at his desk. He opened a notebook and wrote his idea clearly. He spoke the sentences aloud, slowly. Sometimes he stopped. Sometimes he corrected himself. It was not smooth, but it was honest. For the first time, Aaron realized something important. Confidence does not come from talent. It comes from preparation, and preparation comes from effort. If you are listening right now and learning English or building confidence, remember this moment. You don't need to be perfect to move forward. You just need to be willing to practice. This is why English motivation exists. Stories like this are meant to walk with you, step by step. If you feel connected, you are always welcome here. The next day, Aaron stood in front of the meeting room again. This time his fear felt heavier, because now expectations existed. People were listening. He took a deep breath and began. At first his voice shook. Then it steadied. He explained his idea carefully. He spoke slower than others. He chose simple words. He finished. Silence filled the room. Aaron's heart dropped. Then his boss nodded. This is interesting, she said. Let's explore this. Aaron felt something warm rise inside him. Not excitement, not confidence, relief. But the story did not end there. Later that day, a co-worker approached him. You speak well, the co-worker said, but you pause too much. The comment was not cruel, but it hurt. Aaron smiled politely. Inside, old fear whispered, "See? You are still not good enough." That night, Aaron sat alone again. He felt tired. Trying was exhausting. Being brave every day was exhausting. He wondered if it was worth it. That's when Aaron remembered something simple but powerful. Silence never made him happy. Trying, even when painful, made him feel alive. He decided to continue. Weeks passed. Aaron spoke more often. Sometimes people listened. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes he succeeded. Sometimes he failed. But something inside him was changing. Fear no longer stopped him completely. It followed him, but it no longer led. One evening, Aaron met Liam again. "I feel tired," Aaron admitted. "Trying every day is hard." Liam smiled gently. "Of course it is," he said. "But you are no longer tired of yourself." That sentence stayed with Aaron. Slowly, people began to see him differently. They asked for his opinions. They waited for his input. Aaron was still quiet, but not invisible. But just when Aaron thought he was improving, life tested him again. A big presentation was announced. Aaron's name was on the list. Fear returned stronger than before, and this time the risk was higher. Aaron faces a failure that almost pushes him back into silence forever. What he does next will decide whether this journey continues or ends. The presentation day arrived faster than Aaron expected. For days the thought of it followed him everywhere. While walking to work, while eating, while trying to sleep, his mind kept repeating the same fear. What if I fail in front of everyone? What if I forget my words? What if this proves I should have stayed quiet? Aaron had spoken before, yes, but this was different. This time many people would be watching. This time the silence would be loud. The morning of the presentation, Aaron stood in front of the mirror. He looked the same, but inside a battle was happening. Part of him wanted to run. Another part whispered, "You have come too far." He remembered the bookstore sentence. He remembered the first time he raised his hand. He remembered choosing action over waiting. So he took a deep breath and left his room. The conference room was full. People talked, laughed, prepared. Aaron sat quietly, holding his notes. His hands felt cold. His heartbeat was fast and uneven. When his name was called, everything slowed down. He walked to the front. He looked at the screen. He looked at the faces. And then his mind went blank. The first sentence came out wrong. Aaron paused. The silence stretched. Someone coughed. Someone shifted in their chair. Fear rushed in like a wave. "This is it," his mind screamed. "This is the proof you are not ready." Aaron tried to continue, but his words felt heavy. His voice cracked. He finished quickly, too quickly. When he sat down, he avoided eye contact. The presentation ended. People clapped politely. Aaron felt empty. That day felt longer than usual. No one said much to him. No feedback. No encouragement. Aaron walked home slowly, replaying every second of the presentation. He felt embarrassed. He felt angry. He felt disappointed in himself. That night he didn't open his notebook. He didn't practice. He didn't speak. He returned to silence. For the next few days, Aaron avoided speaking again. Old habits returned easily. Silence felt familiar, safe, comfortable. But something was different now. Silence didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt heavy. One evening, Aaron received a message from his boss. "Can we talk tomorrow?" Fear returned instantly. He barely slept that night. The next day, Aaron sat across from his boss, expecting disappointment. Instead, she spoke calmly. "You didn't do well," she said honestly. Aaron nodded. "But," she continued, "you showed courage." Aaron looked up. "You tried." "Most people never do." She paused. "Failure doesn't mean you should stop. It means you need guidance." Those words shocked him. No punishment. No judgment. Just truth. That conversation changed something deep inside Aaron. For the first time, he understood this. Failure is not rejection. It is information. It shows you where to improve, not where to quit. If you are listening to this part of the story and you feel discouraged by your own failures, pause for a moment. This channel, English Motivation, is here to remind you of one simple truth. Failing does not make you weak. Quitting does. If this story speaks to you, you are welcome to stay with us. That night, Aaron opened his notebook again. He wrote one sentence: "I failed. But I am still here." He practiced again, but differently. He slowed down. He simplified his words. He focused on clarity, not perfection. He recorded his voice and listened. Sometimes he smiled. Sometimes he corrected himself. He was learning. Weeks passed. Aaron spoke again in meetings, but smaller ones. He asked questions. He shared thoughts. Slowly, confidence followed effort. Not suddenly, not loudly, but steadily. One afternoon, a new employee joined the team. During a meeting, the new employee stayed silent. Aaron noticed the familiar fear in their eyes. After the meeting, Aaron approached them. "You did well listening," Aaron said gently. "It takes time." The employee smiled with relief. In that moment, Aaron realized something powerful. He was no longer just changing himself. He was becoming someone who could help others. But Aaron's journey was not finished. A bigger opportunity was coming. One that would test not just his voice, but his belief in himself. And Aaron faces a decision that could finally change the direction of his life. The moment he chose himself, 1,000 words, the opportunity arrived quietly. No announcement, no applause, just a simple email. Volunteers needed to lead the new project presentation. Aaron read the message twice. His first reaction was fear. His second reaction was memory. He remembered standing frozen in his first meeting. He remembered the failed presentation. He remembered opening his notebook again when quitting felt easier. The fear was still there, but now something else stood beside it. Belief. Aaron stared at the screen. Volunteers. That meant choice. No one was forcing him. If he ignored the email, no one would blame him. Silence was still an option. But this time, silence felt like betrayal. Not to others. To himself. Aaron closed his eyes. He imagined 2 futures. In one, he stayed quiet. Life continued the same way. Safe, predictable, small. In the other, he tried again. Fear existed, but so did growth. He remembered a line he once read: "Confidence does not come before action. It comes after you try." Aaron replied, "I'm interested." The days before the presentation were intense. Aaron prepared more than ever before. But this time he did something different. He didn't memorize words. He understood ideas. He practiced explaining the message as if speaking to one person, not a room. He focused on connection, not perfection. And slowly fear lost some of its power. The presentation day arrived. Aaron stood backstage, holding his notes. His hands were shaking, but his mind was clear. He stepped forward. He began speaking. Not loudly, not dramatically, just clearly. And something incredible happened. People listened. They nodded. They leaned forward. Aaron didn't rush. He didn't hide. He finished, and this time the silence felt different. Then applause filled the room. Real applause. After the presentation, several people approached him. "Your explanation was very clear. You made it easy to understand. I liked how calm you were." Aaron smiled, almost surprised. This was not a miracle. This was practice. That evening, Aaron walked home slowly. He felt something new. Peace, not excitement, not pride. Peace. He finally understood something important. Confidence is not loud. It is quiet trust in yourself. If you are listening right now and learning English or building confidence, remember Aaron's moment. You don't need a perfect accent. You don't need perfect grammar. You need courage to try. And if stories like this help you move forward, stay with English Motivation. This channel is built for people like you. Aaron's life didn't suddenly become perfect. He still felt nervous sometimes. He still made mistakes. But now fear no longer controlled his choices. He spoke when it mattered. He helped others find their voice. One day, Aaron was asked to mentor a group of new employees. Standing in front of them, he felt a strange calm. He began with honesty. "I used to be afraid to speak," he said. "I still am sometimes." The room became quiet. "But I learned something important," he continued. "Fear doesn't disappear. We just learn to walk with it." The room filled with understanding smiles. That night, Aaron wrote one final sentence in his notebook. "I chose myself, but the story is not finished yet, because every journey needs a reflection." In part 5, Aaron looks back and realizes the true lesson of his transformation, one that can change your life too. The voice he found was always HIS, 1,000 words. Time passed quietly, not in dramatic ways, not with sudden fame or loud success, but in meaningful ways. Aaron's life continued: meetings, projects, conversations, but something inside him had permanently changed. He was no longer waiting to become confident. He was living. One evening after work, Aaron sat alone in a small cafe. He watched people around him talk, laugh, argue, express themselves. Once this scene would have made him feel invisible. Now it made him reflective. He thought about the boy he used to be, the one who believed silence was safety, who thought confidence belonged only to others. He smiled softly. That boy had been wrong. Aaron realized something important. Confidence didn't arrive as a gift. It was built moment by moment through action. Every time he spoke despite fear. Every time he failed and continued. Every time he chose growth over comfort. That was confidence. That night, Aaron opened his old notebook, the one filled with shaky handwriting and half-finished thoughts. He read the first page. "I wish I could speak without fear." He turned the pages slowly. Fear, failure, practice, growth. And on the last page, He wrote one final sentence. I am not fearless. I am brave. If you are listening to this story right now and learning English, learning confidence, or learning how to believe in yourself, remember this. You are not behind. You are becoming. And if stories like this help you move forward, you are always welcome in this community. This is English Motivation, where simple English carries powerful life lessons. Weeks later, Aaron was invited to speak at a small internal event, not because he was the best speaker, but because he was real. Before speaking, he stood quietly, breathing slowly. Fear was there, but it felt familiar now, like an old shadow that no longer controlled him. He began his talk with honesty. I used to believe confidence came before action, he said. But I was wrong. People listened closely. It comes after you try. The room was silent, not uncomfortable, but attentive. Aaron spoke about failure, about embarrassment, about choosing to continue, not as a hero, as a human. After the talk, a young employee approached him. I'm afraid to speak, they said quietly. But your story helps. Aaron smiled. That moment mattered more than applause ever could, because his journey had become someone else's courage. Life didn't suddenly become easy. Aaron still felt nervous before speaking. He still had days of doubt, but fear no longer stopped him. He had learned the most important lesson of all. You don't wait for confidence to live. You live and confidence follows. If this story touched you even a little, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, where have I been silent because of fear? What is one small action I can take today? You don't need to change your whole life. Just one step is enough. And if you want more stories like this, stories that help you think, feel, and grow in simple English, subscribe to English Motivation. Your journey matters here. Aaron walked home that night under quiet streetlights. He wasn't famous. He wasn't perfect. But he was free. Free from the belief that his voice didn't matter. And that freedom changed everything. Final life lesson. Confidence is not something you find. It is something you build after you try. Your voice is not waiting to be perfect. It is waiting to be used. Thank you for staying with this story. Subscribe to English Motivation for more real stories, real lessons, and simple English that helps you grow.